Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking open Chapter 6 of LSAT Test Prep Mastery. We're basically turning it into a full-on masterclass for logical reasoning. And look, with the recent changes to the LSAT, this one section has become more critical than ever. We're going to show you exactly how to dominate it. Okay, let's dive right in. Why this intense focus? Well, since the big 2024 LSAT format change, you're now facing two scored logical reasoning sections. So this number, 50%, that's roughly how much of your final score is riding on the skills we're about to cover. Yeah, it's not just a section anymore, it's literally half the battle. So to get you mission ready, here's our game plan. We'll start by taking a look at the new battlefield. Then we'll get you geared up with an essential toolkit and some intel on the key question types. From there, it's all about strategy. And finally, we'll run a live fire simulation to put it all together. All right, let's jump into our first section, the new LR battlefield. You've got to understand that the new format means your success really comes down to three mission-critical skills. Mastering these isn't just about passing, it's about landing you in that top-tier score range. Now, what's so interesting here is that basically every high-level question is a test of these three abilities. But listen, pay extra attention to that second point, identifying the gap. This is the secret sauce. It's the unstated assumption, that little logical leap the author makes. Getting really, really good at spotting it is the key that unlocks this entire section. Okay, time to get equipped with your standard issue gear. These are the foundational concepts, the tools that every single top scorer carries with them. You can think of this as your primary weapon system for any LR challenge that comes your way. So, the crucial takeaway is this. Your first step every single time is to break the argument down into this core structure. First, find the conclusion. What is the author trying to prove? Then find the support. What evidence are they giving you? The space right between those two things, that's the gap. Your job is to say what that gap is in your own words before you even glance at the answer choices. This slide, oh man, this highlights one of the biggest, most classic traps on the entire LSAT. Test makers love this because it gets right to the heart of legal analysis. Can you resist jumping to conclusions? They'll show you two things happening together and dangle the idea that one must be causing the other. Your job is to be skeptical. Always ask yourself, wait, could this be backward? Could something else be causing both? You gotta see the bait and not take it. This right here, this is your single most powerful, non-negotiable tool for necessary assumption questions. It's a game changer. It takes something that feels really abstract, finding a required belief, and it turns it into a simple mechanical test. Think about it. If you negate something that's truly necessary for an argument, the whole thing should just crumble. If the conclusion is still standing just fine, well then that answer choice was never necessary to begin with. You need to practice this until it's second nature. Okay, let's move on. Knowing your tools is one thing, but knowing the specific enemy you're about to face, that's another. We're going to break down the patterns of the toughest, most common question types so you can see their moves coming from a mile away. Understanding this distinction is what really separates the good scores from the great scores, the 165s from the 175s. Think of it like this. A necessary assumption is a required floorboard. You pull it out, and the whole argument falls through the floor. A sufficient assumption, on the other hand, is like a rocket booster. It's this powerful statement that when you add it, it just launches the premises directly to the conclusion and proves it's 100% true. You have to memorize these. These are the repeat offenders of logical reasoning. They're basically the exact kind of bad arguments you'll have to take apart as a lawyer. So when you're reading a stimulus and one of these patterns pops up, you should be able to name it, predict what the answer is going to say, and just move on, fast and confident. Okay, the number one rule for parallel reasoning questions is that the subject matter is a distraction. It's bait. They will absolutely try to trick you with answer choices that have a similar topic. Your mission is to ignore all of that. You're matching the logical blueprint, the skeleton of the argument. That means you're looking at words like all, some, or none, and the kind of conclusion it has. Focus only on that structure. Now for tactics. This isn't just about what you know. It's about how you perform under the pressure of that ticking clock. These are your rules of engagement, the things that let you use your tools and knowledge for max speed and accuracy. This chart basically shows you the micro timer that should be running in your head. Your target average is about 1 minute and 20 seconds per question. But the really crucial part, that hard 2-minute stop. If you hit 2 minutes on a question and you're just not getting anywhere, you must have the discipline to mark it, skip it, and come back later. You can't let one hard question sink your entire section. This cheat sheet is all about building reflexes. It's about muscle memory. You need to internalize these triggers so that your response is completely automatic. You see a causal claim, your brain just immediately starts testing for alternate causes. You see a survey, it instantly questions the sample group. This is how you build the kind of speed you need to really excel. All right, theory's over. Time to run some drills. We're going to look at a few common LSAT-style arguments and apply our toolkit and tactics in real time. This is where all that training really pays off. Okay, first look. The conclusion is causal. Education causes industrialization. So, what does our cheat sheet say? If we see a causal claim, one of the very first things we should check for is reverse causation, right? Could the effect actually be the cause? Let's poke at that idea for a second. And just like that, a simple tactical check completely dismantles the argument by suggesting that, hey, maybe the industrial growth came first and paid for the education. We've totally reversed the author's logic and weakened their conclusion. We haven't proved it's false, but we've introduced a really powerful alternative that hurts the claim. Okay, you've seen this one before. It's a classic from our flaw hall of shame. A big conclusion is being drawn from a lack of information. What's the specific mistake here? This is a classic trap, confusing what's possible with what's certain. And there it is. Recognizing this pattern just gives you the answer instantly. The argument confuses "we don't have proof that it works" with "we have proof that it doesn't work." It's a subtle difference, but it's a huge logical error and a super common flaw on this test. All right, another causal claim, but this time our mission is to strengthen it. So how do we do that? Well, our toolkit tells us we can either rule out other explanations or we can show a more direct link between the cause and the effect. Let's think about how we could eliminate some of those other factors. This is such a powerful way to strengthen an argument. By saying the neighborhoods are otherwise similar, we're basically controlling for other possible causes, like maybe one is at a higher elevation or closer to a lake. And by showing the cooling happened after the trees were planted, we make that causal story much more believable. So, as we wrap this up, just remember, getting great at logical reasoning isn't about some secret trick. It's about disciplined execution of these core principles. You have to master finding the gap, know exactly what each question type is asking for, trust your process, and be absolutely relentless in analyzing your own mistakes. Because that's the ultimate goal here. It's about getting these patterns so deep into your brain that when you finish reading an argument, you know exactly what the correct answer needs to do. You're not hunting for an answer in the choices anymore. You're just looking for the one that confirms your prediction. And that, right there, is the essence of mastery.